Welcome, and follow me. I have the Realme C53, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. Now, before I go into anything, I'm just gonna quickly mention for anyone who's actually interested in just the gist of it, I don't recommend this device. Just by looking at the specs, it is a little bit too expensive for what it offers. And just as a quick just alternative, before I even get into this, I would recommend looking into something like a Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro. You can still pick them up new. They will cost almost the same amount as this, while delivering a significantly better user experience because the device is just significantly faster and better in every single way. So that's what I would recommend as an alternative to this device. This is overpriced and not worth the money. So yeah, now that being said, let's just jump straight into this one. This is a $300 device, or roughly about 300 if I remember correctly. Yep, something close around this. And for the $300, I feel like this device is already significantly overpriced because, number one, it comes with a Tegra T612 processor, which will get dumpstered by the Poco's Snapdragon 860. So yeah, now in the box we get a case, pretty nice. Let's get rid of the paperwork, it's not like anybody cares about that. And we get our phone with this very flashy colors. It does shift though, the camera can't really pick up this kind of green/blue tint at an angle. It gets blown out, as you can probably see there. You can see it a little bit here, but the camera isn't picking this up all that well. It looks actually pretty nice and flashy. Interesting design right here. Now under that we get paper, and then we get our charger. It's a Type A, 33 watts, so that's pretty nice. And a Type A to Type C charging cable. Nice. So let's turn on the device and start off with the display. And the display right here is an IPS LCD display running at 90 Hz refresh rate with a peak brightness of 560 nits. It boasts an 85.5% screen to body ratio with pixel density of 390. And moving into the cameras, because the phone is still turning on, there we go. We have a, I'm just gonna say single camera setup, even though we can see two of them. One of them is unspecified, and honestly at the first look it just looks like a prop. So I can't find info, and you can't see anything on here about this. Yeah, you can see it only specifies one camera. So I'm gonna assume that this is a fake, which is a big no-no, because it's a very scummy effing way to try to make your device look a little bit more appealing. So yeah, 50 megapixel wide sensor, and at the front, in this teardrop basically, is an 8 megapixel wide sensor. Now when it comes to the battery in here, we have a 5000 milliamp hour battery, which, like I mentioned before, is powering the Tegra T612 processor. The device comes with 128 gigabytes of built-in storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM. And that's basically all for the internals. Now on some of the things that you don't actually see at the first glance, we have a side-mounted fingerprint sensor that doubles as your power button. There we go. We have a headphone jack at the bottom, along with your Type-C charging port, speaker, microphone, and nothing at the top. And our tray right here, which, that being said, I'm going to check if we have expandable storage. And we do. So if you need more than 128 gigs, you can actually pop in an SD card in here and expand it probably up to like a half a terabyte, which is nice. And that's basically all for this device. There's not much to say about it. It's a, by all intents and purposes, I would classify this as a budget device that comes at a mid-range price. And that's why I started off by saying that I don't recommend this device because it's a little bit overpriced for what it offers. Now, like I mentioned before, what I recommend would be the Xiaomi Poco X3 Pro. And the reason I picked this one is because it comes at basically the same price. And considering it is an outdated device, it was released in 2021, if you can pick it up brand new for this kind of price, which I did find on Polish website called Allegro, some store is selling it brand spanking new at basically the range of the price that these devices come at. And that being said, just to quickly run down the specs and just kind of go over it, the display will be better. Also LCD IPS, but instead of 90 it has 120 Hz. It's HDR10 certified and has a typical brightness of 450 nits. 100 nits lower, but this is a typical brightness. It doesn't specify peak brightness. Here I did say that it's 500 and I think 50 was it peak brightness, which this one could possibly have the same one or higher, but it's going to be very small difference in any case. It also has a corner Gorilla Glass 6 at the front, which is better than what we have right here. The only downside will be that the Poco will peak at Android 12, which this one I think already comes with Android 12. No, actually, never mind. This comes with Android 13. So the Xiaomi has an outdated Android, but nonetheless, it will work just fine. You will have no problems with it. So that being said, it's still a fantastic device. You just don't have the newest Android available, which all you will be missing out is subtle changes in the design. Not much, to be completely honest. Now moving on, in terms of the internals, the device will have at least 6 GB of RAM, which this one only comes with 128 6 gigs. That's basically what Poco X3 Pro comes at default, and you can spec it up all the way to 256 and 8 gigs of RAM. And all of it on UFS 3.1. This one doesn't really specify what storage it is. UFS 3.1 will be a nice fast storage. There is a faster one, just to clarify this, but when this phone was being released, I believe that was the best one that there was on the market at that time. So that should give you a perspective of kind of like what you're dealing here with. And in terms of cameras, it has a 48 megapixel wide sensor at the back with a couple additional cameras like 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro, which I wouldn't really count those in. And then at the front you have a 20 megapixel selfie, which again will be better. Battery wise, bigger, 5160, and the charging speed at 33 watts, which is basically the same thing as we have right here, just bigger battery. And there we go. That's basically the most important points of the device. And like I mentioned, Snapdragon 860, which will be significantly faster than what's here. So that's primarily why I recommend other devices. Now, that's my opinion. Obviously, I know that not everybody will be looking for such a thing. I just wanted to give you a different option to this device, as I consider this to be a little bit too expensive for what it offers, and I consider this specific device that I found, or I started looking for an alternative to this, and this is the first one I found, which would basically fit that criteria. Now, I do personally like Xiaomi. That's why I kind of bring it up, because they are usually the best bang for the buck, and they offer like decent performance, really good performance for the money. And this being said, they do have a better device if you're willing to fork out more, which will completely blow all the phones at almost any price range in terms of like what you get for the performance, and that would have been the F5, the standard F5, which comes with a Snapdragon 778, I believe it was, or something along those lines. And it's a fantastic processor, fantastic device, coming at about $380. Again, more expensive than this, but also significantly way better. But for everyone who's looking at this price range, I recommend the Poco X3 Pro. That was basically my recommendation right here. Now, with that being said, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.